When you plucked me from the grotto, sounding like a supermodel. When I would wake in staccato, no lightning in a bottle. Just one eye on the target and 2 bricks on the throttle. I know now that even if I am frozen, timeless as a ghost in my nightmares of the ocean, the precipice I'm approaching. Well, you will empty the darkness, you will keep me in motion. I know now. Infinite buzz washing over me at last. Feel the method in my madness. Feel the glory in my wrath. Infinite buzz, bursting colors when you laugh. I have fought so long to be here. I am never going back. Even if I'm on my own, well, the silence is deafening. I could be stuck here alone. Well, even my future is threatening. Something is lifting the bones, something is dancing in a revelry. Wider than oceans below, taller than titans and box springs. And the waters are warm where they used to run, freezing where they used to be storms. My horizon is fleeting, I'm so tired inside. I could sleep through a landslide, but I'm finally here, and I'm not leaving this time. Infinite buzz washing over me at last. Feel the method in my madness.
different. Lose all your desires on the other side of time. Some come here to run away, others come in pain. I came for forgiveness for the mistakes I've made. 'Cause here in the white room, and stares at me. I can't hear you screaming, I can't feel you go, and everything is done. I'm lying on the floor now, dead, dreaming of your touch. And somehow I forgive you for leaving me alone. 'Cause here in the white room, I'm lying next to you. Hands held tight like diamonds, all our dreams came true. Here in the white room, and this is what I needed, yeah, just to feel you
Yeah, what's up?
close.
Sorry. Ugh. What's the question, Globalize? Let her rip. Let her rip. I'll hold on to your go. The powder itself, yeah. Powder's fine. Just make sure there's no water in it. If you already tried it, it's fine. If water gets in, it'll like clump and then it could get ruined, but it's not a big deal. If like the powder itself is expired. As long as it's not clumping. Generally we just require that there's some form of expiration date. But the expiration date isn't expiration date. I don't know how it is in Lithuania, but in the US, the expiration date is a best buy, as in like when it's best, or when they can't guarantee that it's going to be, taste the same or stuff like that. It doesn't actually mean like unsafe. I'm not sure how it is in Lithuania, but depending on the product, right? We just kind of mandate expiration dates for liability reasons, I think. But yeah, it's not bad, especially when it's in powdered form, right? It means it's taken all the it's dehydrated in Poland. And when you take all the hydration out of something, right? So you extract like a bunch of stuff out of it. Like, let's just see here. Just see what AI says really fast. Extracting protein from raw sources, filtering out carbs, transforming the liquid concentrate into a fine powder. Yep. Atomizing the liquid, instant evaporation, dehydrating it. And what that does is it essentially gets rid of the ability for like, I don't want to say this wrong. It's a lot of the time bacteria and things like that, or like spoilage, needs to exist in some form of like hydration, I want to say, but let's see. Why does dehydrating into a powder reduce spoilage? I don't know why I'm like not remembering, so I just want to make sure I don't. It's the moisture, yeah. The problem is I don't know how or why to tell you it's the moisture, but I think this part, like mold and stuff like that, requires moisture for it to actually work, or like not work, but latch on, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's fine. Let me know when you're dead. Well, mold and other stuff like that, right? Exist in the air, and like particles in the air, right? So, why is a dry environment more suitable to reduce mold, disease, and bacteria, right, than a moist or a damp environment? So Most of it is in the air, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mold especially. Airborne. So while dry air can sometimes make mold spores lighter, it prevents the active rapid spread of mold, and then mold precision, blah, 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 blah. So humidity makes viruses and droplets much more likely to survive, blah, blah, same with bacteria. Yeah. It's about moisture. Nice. Nice. Do you want to know how long my debate prep is right now? Holy fuck, dude. I think I'm taking this way too seriously, man. Like 100 pages. I'm not kidding. Like 100 pages, dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Can you feel it? Like we've lost our direction. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, it's important to me, this topic, right? And I'm not an idiot. I know what's his name will be hard. So when the credits roll, everything is headed home. Are you alone? So I'm preparing pretty heavily. That in mind, okay? So we have this, all right? Where is it? Boom, 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 boom. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, I found it. We're good. You hate me. Do you hate me now? Here's just a taste of it, okay? Jesus Christ. Boom, 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 boom. You hate me now. So I mined some quotes from him directly. All right. So I can understand his position. It's fine, bro. And then I have modules set up that I helped, that I organized with AI, right? So I gave like transcripts to AI to essentially like of videos I already watched, but I gave it transcripts so it can give me some instant module fucking like shit out, right? So these are the main triggers and the main modules I think are going to happen, right? So we have the corporatism definition, whether or not fascism can be like in stages, the pillars of fascism according to him, which are corporatism, ultranationalism, and then he said he separates that from palingenesis, which is incorrect. But authoritarianism, slippage, rhetoric, admissibility. This is something I think he's going to do. The falsifiability of this. So ideology versus action. Why corporatism? Or do you mean why is he gonna say that? That's what you mean, right? So, corporatism was a big part of Italian fascism. And that's a fact. Now, it's not something that you can use to define fascism, though. And there's a reason for this, and that's because the type of corporatism that came about in Italy didn't happen in Germany or in Spain. And a lot of the other fascist movements around the globe did not have this as well. They did have the hyper-consolidation of private and state through like corporatism steering. And corporatism, by the way, if you want to know the definition, corporatism is it means something else. So if he just says corporatist, by the way, that's a mistake, because corporatist means you take a government function and you essentially just give it to the private market. That's all it means. It's not. It's not. In fact, the Nazis jailed an Austrian fascist who criticized the Nazis for not being corporatist enough. Like he said that they weren't statist enough or whatever. Or not statist enough, but he was kind of an anti-statist. He's still like a private enterprise a little bit. So corporatism in and of itself doesn't apply to Nazi Germany. But there are elements in Nazi Germany. Is it super peaky? What's going on there? My mic? I see it hitting red. Does it sound okay? Yeah? Let me know if it's like peaking or something. So corporatism, again, on its own means taking private government functions and government markets and then giving it to private companies. Corporatism of the fasci, right, or fascist corporatism, is Italian-specific corporatism. It's different. It is essentially, it's going to be like an Italian cooperative state. And I can give a little bit of a better definition right now, okay? So generic corporatism, again, is interest representation or tripartite bargaining among organized groups in the state, right? And then cooperative state, in Italy specific, is formal syndicates and corporations. And syndicate here has a specific meaning, okay? Syndicate in Italy means union. So in Italy, there was lots of unions, okay? There was a lot of reformists who were almost, they were practically communist, okay? God damn. My fucking nose. So trade syndicalism is what that means. So formal syndicates, corporations integrated into state governance as an explicit constitutional economic design. So Italy formed this trade syndicalism while promising a lot to the reformists that there would be unions, but ultimately it was a trade union, not a workers union, and then which kind of tricked a lot of people. And another part about it is that Mussolini knew this, and he knew that ultimately all of these trade unions would be at, essentially the authority would be the state at the end, in the final moments of this. So he kind of promised a bunch of private companies that they will have essentially like these unions and they'll be able to operate freely. But he knew that that was not the case. And over time, he like chipped away the constitutional economic design, which became, there was a point where the private companies no longer even when they realized they weren't really free anymore, it was too late, right? And then corporatist steering is when you align your economy with a politicized nature of how you discipline businesses, and you reorganize labor into regime loyalty, which is not a tenet of fascism, but it is the approach that happens when fascism hyperconsolidates the private and state enterprise. Okay? Need to get a freaking cough drop. What the hell's wrong with me? You try. I'm posting on my social media real fast. Might as well, right? Ah. Hey, man. How you doing? Been a while. Hey, you've been subscribed to me for 4 months in a row? Thank you, man. You still playing No Man's? Prime chill. It's just the prime chill. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, fine. You're a bitch. God damn. My bad. That's right, Matt. Fuck you. Next time, hit your thresh hook. Icarus? I think I have that on my wish list. Oh, did you? I don't know if you know this, but I'm debating Andrew Wilson and I'm debating Rob Noor on Thursday. And I got to choose the prompt. And the prompt is, I chose, in the United States, secularism is more beneficial to Christians and the Christian faith than Christian nationalism. And then I'm debating Andrew Wilson on either the Thursday after that or around them. And the topic is Trump a fascist? So it might be a good moment for me to actually reach people. Yeah, he is. I mean, it's just... I'm pretty sure I could argue it well. My debate prep, by the way. Because, again, this is probably the most serious topic to me. Seriously. It's like 100 pages right now. 100 pages. You fucking believe that? What am I doing? Fucking kill me, dude.
And 91% slavery people got.
No.
Let me see if there's any other... Actually, I wonder if there's any Rob Noor stuff on Christian nationalism. 6 hours. 6 hours. This prompt is dumb. I think my prompt's way better. Right? Like, my prompt again is, in the United States, secularism is more beneficial to Christians and the Christian faith than Christian nationalism. Not is Christian, I mean, Christian nationalism, I guess this prompt's fine. I feel like it's just a dumb way to ask this question.
But I do think I'm a good debater. But a better husband, my personal discipline and lose weight. I think I need to be a better father, a better husband, a better moral person in general. But I do think I'm a good debater. But I don't know about tonight, man. I will not be saying this over on the channel that I'm be debating on, but I am not very, I don't want to say I'm not good. I'm not deeply steeped in religious theology or philosophy. And this isn't the type of debate that I ever do. This will be the first.
Oh. Whoa. The first time he ever does it?
In fact, as far as I,
So he doesn't really debate this topic. I thought he would. So my prompt is kind of, it's going to be difficult for him. Apparently he doesn't prepare.
know that I've
He doesn't even know what he's going to be debating until I bring him my prompt. So this might be kind of hard for him.
ever defended any shape or form of Christianity. Now, I plan on making it as non-theological as possible. But we'll see. So I'm not going to try to blaspheme in the sense that I'm going to speak for what certain denominations of Christianity believe. And so I hope, above all
How would you debate the affirmative for Christian nationalism then?
else, even if I get, I would be more appalled to do that than actually lose a debate. So I'm really trying to avoid that. So you won't hear me back. I'll say that I think a true Christian understanding should be to follow the 10 Commandments. And here's what I think they would speak on.
That doesn't really help anything, man. The 10 Commandments are also not just like cleanly in the Bible, right? I mean, if you've read the Bible, again, 10 Commandments are also written in multiple places and they're different. So even in the Bible itself, it interprets 10 Commandments differently. By definition, and just because the way humans capture information, we're going to interpret them differently.
Sort of LGBT issues, and here's what I think they would speak on in sort of abortion issues, but in a
the 10 Commandments does not speak on abortion whatsoever.
very vague sense. Right? But that's sort of my goal. Actually do the BB, thanks so much, man. Some other
When does he start?
Rob has spoken at least once in your debate. I don't know. We'll see. Naughty Germ $5 says better late than never with the $5. Thank you, Naughty Germ. Always appreciate it. And Draco $5 says, dude, stop yapping. We're here for the chair. All right, fair enough. Get your donos in. I'll be right back. We'll get this stuff rolling. Fill up my water. Take a little pee.
Wait, what?
Subjugation. The target parties then perspectives effectively create religious freedom, erosion of religious.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with like that style of patriotism and nationalism is that to me, it's not really about whether or not making America great or making America better or the fact that America is a good country. It's not really dependent on America in that sentence, right? I really don't like it when people don't know how to think of positivity without making it like some game theory. It just shows like their lack of like of critical thinking and their lack of understanding about how positive things don't have to impact people negatively. You know what I mean?
Freedom and pluralism.
That's just me though.
Particular humanist. Why?
You brought a PowerPoint?
All right. So
You brought a PowerPoint?
ready to start. All right. So
What?
I'm here today to talk about why Christian nationalism is harmful for everyone.
You brought a PowerPoint? What?
This is going to be a case for a secular humanist sort of future for our society. Not
even bordered properly.
Undermines democracy and human rights.
America does not like Jewish people. Don't let the 50 years of neoliberalism keep you away from the fact that underneath all of this fucking ridiculousness and the Muslim hate, right around the corner is the anti-Jew hate and the fact that they're the Christ killers. So don't let that fool you, man.
Any political ideology, and this is my basic argument here, any political ideology that violates fundamental democratic principles, including religious freedom, equality under law, and minority rights, is harmful to all members of a society.
Why do Americans get cut? I don't know what cut means there.
Christian nationalism violates these fundamental democratic principles by imposing religious dominance, eroding church-state separation, enabling discrimination, and supporting authoritarian control. Therefore, Christian
Well, yeah, it's just a lot of people do things that they don't know why, but tradition has done it for a long time.
nationalism
And yeah,
is harmful to all members of a society. There's an erosion of religious freedom and pluralism that I just mentioned. Christian nationalism fundamentally contradicts the constitutional principle that participation in American democracy is not based on religious beliefs or lack thereof, rather than protecting religious freedom. It actively rejects it by advocating for the merger of Christianity with American national identity and governance. This ideology seeks to
circumcision. Yeah, I mean, Christians, if I'm not mistaken, still practice this a little, right? I mean, I think most Christians don't practice it actually.
privilege one particular interpretation of Christianity over all other religious traditions and non-religious perspectives, effectively creating second-class citizenship for anyone outside this narrow definition.
No,
Research from
no,
the,
actually, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong there. I think most Christians rejected that. Why does America actually do it? So?
indicates that approximately 30% of
Circumcision in America originated in the late 19th century, driven by Dr. Louis Sayre, who falsely promoted it as a cure for paralysis and neuromuscular disease, aligning with Victorian era theories of reflex neurosis. So, a doctor named Louis Sayer, he's the founder of the American Medical Association, championed circumcision, changing its perception from a religious rite to a medical intervention. That's why.
Americans identify as adherents or supporters of Christian nationalism. These supporters believe the government should officially declare the United States a Christian nation, that U.S. laws should reflect.
So one fucking doctor, okay, was just like, yo, good for hygiene and reflex neurosis. And we all just went, fuck yeah, it is.
Christian values, and that being Christian is essential to being authentically American. This worldview directly threatens the
X-Rocks, I actually don't think that argument was good that Kay was making. Because it is not an argument that'll stand on like some logical basis, even if we do feel like it does. I could say that I do bad things in the name of anything. That doesn't really mean that the thing that I'm referring to is bad. That was Kay's argument is, you know, people do say that let's say they said God commanded them to kill someone, right? That's not exactly something that is Christian. No. They're interpreting it, right? Or maybe someone thinks God did tell them to, but that's not really a representation of Christianity. I think a better way to approach that question, X-Rocks, is not look at people and their individual actions, because God in the Bible says that people are, you know, sinners and inerrant. It kind of like qualifies what you're talking about. And people will do things on behalf of themselves and say it's, you know, religion. Because the truth is that not every Christian is out there advocating for this, right? A better question would have been something like, in the Bible, God does literally command, you know, the slaughter of children in the Canaanite campaign, right? I mean, that is more or less. We have one Christianity religion. What do you mean? You understand what I did, though, right? That's not true. Not all are okay to have. But that's a different question. That's a question that I think we don't actually have to answer. I think the answer for that is more difficult for a Christian nationalist. A Christian nationalist like Andrew Wilson will just presuppose that there are some unshakable, unchanging foundational values, right? And what a wild thing to say. I just what? They're the ones who actually have to answer the question for that one. But again, if you understand what I mean, it's not really a good argument to point to individuals, which the Bible says, you know, are inerrant are errant or erroneous and full of sin. It's kind of like what they expect to act like, right? Again, the better way to approach this, especially if you want to come from like a biblical aspect of it, like what does the Bible say? God commands, again, the death of women and children in the Canaanite campaign, and it's a fundamental problem. Some Christians, like Frank Turek, apologists, will try to justify it and say that they should be gracious because God accepted them into heaven sooner, and you just kind of sit there and go, that sounds really weird and wrong. I'm not really sure if I like that. And then some people realize that you can renegotiate almost everything in the Bible, and you don't actually have to try and justify it, and it doesn't invalidate faith. So they're representing the church. Sure. They're like representatives of it, but ultimately, it's not like they're police officers in the government. You know, it's not really how it works. So, like, if a police officer is doing something bad in the name of law enforcement, that might be a little different. But Christians are not, even if they are part of the same denomination, are not representative of the same way that we would imagine a police officer in law enforcement. Correct. But the church also says that people are sinners, and that is expected, that people will do bad things in the name of the church. Correct? Well, Xrox, I agree with you too. Sorry, I just noticed something. The second part of that sentence, you said it's designed by people. So I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I think the Bible's too humanistic to be divinely written. But they don't think that, right? And when you have this conversation, you have to remember that they don't think it's designed by people. Unless you mean the church authority. And even then, they don't really think it's designed by people. Right?
First Amendment dual protections, both the right to religious belief and expression, and the guarantee that government.
Early church parishes, yeah. Because they kind of created the architecture of the church, right? But I think you just have to remember that when you, Speakeasy was saying it last night, when you do an internal critique, you have to put yourself into the mind of someone who believes that something different than you, right? So when you say it's designed by people, you're not really doing an internal critique. That's why he kept saying that. Because you have to put yourself into their position, and you have to remember that I now believe that it is not designed by people. I believe it's designed by God, right?
Neither prefers religion.
That's why he kept saying, if you're trying to do an internal critique, you're not doing it correctly.
Over non-religion nor favors particular faiths.
And in a way, he's kind of correct.
The United States' historic commitment to religious pluralism enables diverse faith communities to live in civic harmony without sacrificing theological convictions. Christian nationalism undermines this foundation by promoting the undemocratic view that America is exclusively a nation for Christians. When a powerful minority of conservative Christians uses state power to enforce its values over everyone else.
This guy brought a PowerPoint, bro. Why? Like, he's so annoying. What am I watching? You guys want to know something funny? It's definitely relevant if you want to do an internal critique. Definitely is. I'm not saying it justifies anything. Remember, I agree with you. I'm an atheist, agnostic. It's just, I think it's a weak argument to attack the individuals of the religion in this circumstance. I think it's easier to point to what the Bible says to do literally as a way to show that there is sanctioned, sponsored violence that is unreasonably extreme and unjustifiable that come from the very words of God, right? I don't think we even need to talk about the individual, because the individuals are well, they do, I feel like they do have to renegotiate, and they do have to try, and they convince themselves, yeah. It's a little patronizing of me to say that, but they do have to renegotiate. That's why I said in the talk when I was talking yesterday that every Christian, every religious person has to renegotiate. It is not possible not to, right?
The democratic legitimacy of that power is fundamentally called into question.
But again, the funny thing about Christian nationalism and secularism, okay? Does anyone know where the idea of secularism came from in the United States? It might surprise people. It didn't come from a founding father. The idea came from a letter from a citizen or a local individual. Does anyone know who it is? Off the top of their head? Don't Google it. Very, very famous letter, actually. When I think about it, but a lot of people have forgotten about it. I think it's really relative to, or relevant to, you're correct. It's called the Dansby or Daxby letter. And the idea of secularism came from a worried Christian minority, Protestant minority, who wrote a letter to, if I'm not mistaken, Jefferson. And yeah, he wrote it because he felt that he was going to be pushed out. The idea of secularism came from a Christian, a Protestant. That is the foundation of it. That is the origin of it, okay? At least in the United States. And the very fact is that a lot of people try to separate. It's called the Dansby letter, right? Dansby? Is that what it is? Danbury Baptist is who it is. My bad. I should remember the fucking name of it, but so it was to Thomas Jefferson, okay? And a lot of people who debate this topic, like Andrew Wilson, will just like think of secularist as being atheist, right? That's not true. The majority of secularists, or people who advocated on behalf of secularism, were Christians, and it's always been that way. The majority of people who are secular are Christian, not atheists. And to me, if this debate turns into some conflation of atheism as secularism, like a Dennis Prager video, you know, something like this shit. Fuck is it? My God, dude, Dennis Prager is doing so much fucking harm with these videos. He's so fucking stupid. He's been releasing these retarded fucking videos lately.
Killed. Oh, one death in artillery round.
Like, Stalin was not a secularist. Stalin created state-mandated atheism. That is essentially antithetical to secularism.
More people have been killed in the name of God or in the name of religion, and they're specifically usually referring to Christians killing all sorts of people and so on.
Hey, Cyber.
Christians have killed people, and they've done some terrible things. There's no question about that either. As a Jew, I particularly know that. I've written, one of my books is on anti-Semitism. It has a big chapter on Christian anti-Semitism. By the way, for the record, it has a big chapter on left-wing anti-Semitism. It has a big chapter on Islamic anti-Semitism. Yep. This has not been a monopoly of Christianity. But let me give you an example of how exaggerated things are. You know how often people give the example of the Spanish Inquisition? Oh, Christianity, oh my God, the number of people it has killed. The Inquisition and the Crusade.
Yes, secularism specifically is a separation of government function and religious influence or indoctrination over that, or implementation. So Stalin creating a anti-religious aspect to his government is anti-secular.
You know how many people were killed in the 250 years of the Spanish Inquisition?
3,000.
3,000. Now, every one of those deaths is a horror. That's true. But let's keep it in perspective. That's about 12 a year. That's not exactly what we call genocide. People don't know that, though. The greatest genocides of the 20th century, and indeed...
Yeah. This is my point. I don't really understand why so many people are like, maybe it's because they have to, or maybe they know what they're doing, but he doesn't actually. Like Andrew Wilson does the same thing. I mean, one of his shit. I just clicked the wrong one. Fucking bitch.
Replace it with toxic.
Secular humanism. Fucking stupid. This.
debate, so let's get into it. I guess
Your ethical system is superior.
I do not care who in religion
Form and
Is that Christian nationalism?
get your tickets now using this promo code. With that, we're going to kick it over to Andrew for his opening. Thanks for
Perfect. My opponent tonight has an interesting strategy, though it's altogether predictable. Her premise
It's so insufferable, bro.
is not unlike
My opponent's a big doo-doo face, and I'm going to tell you why they're wrong with their fallacious bullshit reasoning with X, Y, and Z. It's always the same. He never actually tells his position. He's just annoying, bro.
many other progressive harm reductionists is that Christian nationalism or Christian populism leads to fascism or forms of fascism. Interestingly enough, when somebody says fascism, which is now a loaded word, it brings to mind ideas of things which are very
It's always been a loaded word.
dystopian, doesn't it? Brings to mind the idea of oppression by the state, for instance. Things like
Christian nationalism is not a can end up corrupting the faith. It is a guarantee. And I'm pretty confident in being able to say that it is a guarantee. I mean, you yourself just brought up the fact that there's specific denominations, and it wasn't that long ago that Christians killed each other all the time over it. Historically, it is a fact. There's no can. It is a guarantee. There's no if. There's only a when.
checkpoint IDs by the state and show us your papers, like what the left pushed during the lockdowns.
In your opening, I don't really know. See, I don't know if Andrew has ever done debate in a professional setting or like an educational setting or any of this, but in your opening, you're supposed to present your position. You're not supposed to sit there and fucking like be a bitch and just complain about the other one. You can slightly anticipate in some strategic way some arguments, right, to get ahead of the narrative, but ultimately when you're in a debate that's professional, you're supposed to advance your position.
With COVID passports and COVID travel papers.
What is he talking about? What does this have to do with Christian nationalism?
Even COVID work permits with the suggestion of not being able to travel without your papers
It's just
being cleared by the almighty state. It brings images of forced garment wearing by the state in order to single out people who might push against state authority, like the secular leftists did with mask mandates. Gives the idea.
no, it's because he knows that, or he thinks that his brand of Christian nationalism is what's going to be the right one. He's just confident that people will come to realize that what he thinks and what he believes is what everyone else believes, I guess.
Of the state shutting down your business.
It's really hard to think about other Christians and what they believe, though. I mean, he does. He debates them all the time, but the enemy right now is not them yet. I mean, he's got blinders on. He's focused solely on shooting the people who are not Christian
As a
nationalists.
place of worship whenever they want, like the leftists did in their leftist states during COVID-19. It brings into your head the idea of people having food shortages and processing issues and restrictive medical care, like what the left demanded be.
You see what I mean? Like, what does this have to do with his position, man? I feel like Andrew gets away with something very unique, and that is, if you've ever like watched his debates, you don't really know a lot about his position. He just sits there and attacks the other one incessantly, and then the people on the other side, I think, just get caught up in the quick pacing or something. But I walk away most times going like, wow, I think he said like 5 things about what he thinks Christian nationalism is good about.
Imposed during COVID-19. Which is why it's
Yeah, he
interesting
would.
to me, leftists never want to talk about what a fascist state looks like,
What the fuck does this have to do with Christian nationalism?
because it brings up memories of what these fucking lunatics did to us during COVID-19. Eerily similar, isn't it? Instead,
Okay, so Trump is not even close to being a fascist, but COVID-19 health mask mandates are fascist. That's what I just heard, right?
Ed, they focus on total degeneracy restriction as being their pathway to have you.
I think I'm going to bring that up in our debate. Just something like, okay, so you don't think any of this is fascist, but let's just hypothetically, what if, and just start doing, 2020 COVID-19 questions and then be like, does this fit the description? What about this? Is this corporatist?
Believe fascism is right around the corner.
No, it's not.
Evil Christians are going to deliver it. In fact, this ideology of my opponent is so weak and Christian nationalism so evil.
You get the point, right? Anyways.
Then there's the discrimination against marginalized communities. Christian nationalism leads directly to discrimination and at times violence against religious minorities, non-religious individuals, LGBTQ plus communities, women, and people of color. The ideology incorporates elements of patriarchy, white supremacy, nativism, and heteronormativity, often overlapping with and providing cover for racial subjugation. The targeting of LGBTQ plus individuals is particularly pronounced. Across all 50 states, support for Christian nationalism is negatively correlated with the support for the LGBTQ rights, including non-discrimination protections, marriage equality, and transgender rights, as we heard in my opponent's opening. Among Christian nationalism adherents, 52% oppose non-discrimination laws, and only 22% support marriage.
Is that the is this Sermon on the Mount? What is this? This is Sermon on the Mount, right? No, that's in Matthew. What am I talking about? This is in the middle of the Pharisees. That's right. We have 1836. That one, okay. I had a feeling it was the kingdom one because that's one of your favorite verses, right? But that one's pretty hard to argue against in a certain way, isn't it? If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. Yeah. What? Oh yeah, I didn't want to kill him. I kept him alive. I should use this. I'll think of a way to put this in. Thank you.
Equality. LGBTQ plus communities have become cultural
do that
scapegoats,
right now,
blamed for
actually.
everything from violent crime to moral decline. Despite
Do
having
some
done
writing.
nothing wrong, some preachers have even called for the execution of LGBTQ plus people from their pulpits. This discrimination extends beyond rhetoric. Christian nationalist organizations like the Alliance Defending Freedom have systematically pursued legal strategies to ensure that their particular theological beliefs are respected above all others, regardless of the cost of LGBTQ plus rights. The movement has been linked to book bans targeting LGBTQ plus history, attacks on drag shows, and the propagation of baseless accusations labeling LGBTQ plus individuals as pedophiles and groomers, despite the conservative white Christian nationalists actually being the groomers here. Next, support for authoritarianism and political violence. Christian nationalism is strongly
That was
associated with
intense.
authoritarianism
Jeez,
and the
yeah.
support for political violence. While half of Americans agree that society is in trouble because people do not obey authority, this number rises to 69% among Christian nationalism sympathizers and 74% among adherents. These supporters are primed to walk down authoritarian paths to ensure their rightful place atop the national hierarchy. The January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol starkly demonstrated this connection. Christian nationalism was the central driving force behind the attack. Insurrectionists held Bibles aloft, prayed in the Senate, and carried Christian flags and openly confessed their motivations on video. The many disparate identities and ideologies visible during the attack were united under a banner of Christian nationalism, which created the permission structure necessary for violence. Research demonstrates that Christian nationalism's effect on support for political violence, conditioned by perceived victimhood, reinforcing racial and religious identity, and immersion in conspiratorial information sources like QAnon. The movement promotes a warfare rhetoric tinged with stochastic terrorism, describing current politics as warfare for the destiny of the nation. This existential framing leads adherents to cast aside core democratic values, backing autocratic political leaders who espouse their religious values and using minority rule to marginalize opponents. Next, we've got undermining democratic institutions and minority rule. Christian nationalists are increasingly comfortable weakening democratic norms to ensure political outcomes favorable to their group. Structural bias in Senate representation in the Electoral College gives us conservative rural states with high proportions of evangelical residents outsized power. This minority rule was instrumental in the Supreme Court's recent
Right.
term, where conservative Christian justices appointed by a president who lost the popular vote overturned abortion rights despite overwhelming public support. Christian nationalism views equal participation in civic life as a privilege, not a right, because adherents believe the United States was made by and for a particular people. They believe full participation in democracy should only be guaranteed to true citizens representing the preferred
Where
group.
are my
This
fucking?
perspective fundamentally contradicts the principle that in a
Here we go.
diverse society like the
Needs to
United
tell the
States,
other.
democratic government must be for all people. Leaders of the religious right have historically focused not only on getting the right people to vote, but on limiting access to the vote so that the wrong people cannot vote. Paul Weyrich, a leader of the religious right, openly stated this goal in the 1980 convention, revealing the movement's anti-democratic core. When Christian nationalist leaders challenge the outcome of free and fair elections, they do so with the full backing of their supporters, threatening the peaceful transfer of power that is essential to democracy. Probably don't have enough time to get into my solution of secular humanism. I do have a couple slides on this, and it's rather extensive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, pretty hard to argue that the Bible supports deportation, right? I mean, the Bible understands what the word alien is, right? That's where the word comes from, and it has quite a lot more material telling what you should do when aliens are in your country versus the very fuzzy contextual arguments people make about whether or not, you know, the Circle of Love by Hippo in early Catholic parishes, right? One needs to take care of themselves, then their family, then their community, and then the country, right? People use that as like an argument for deporting illegals, and it's like, okay, so this contextually fuzzy post-biblical, you know, idea is more influential on your decision here than like the actual mountains of passages that tell you what you should do and how you should treat illegal aliens in your country. You know what I mean? Like that shit's insane to me. But nonetheless, I hear it. Let's see. Need to change this. When I talked to my friend Wyatt about this, there's a lot of reasons for this, man. My fucking throat is killing me, guys. Needed to stop. Put some vapor rub on real fast so I can continue talking. One sec.
Here, but as you can see, secular humanism is superior because it has a foundation of reason and human dignity. It affirms inherent worth of every individual without hierarchies. It provides true protection for religious freedom, and the separation of church and state ensures freedom for all beliefs. There's
time.
equality. Okay, and I guess I'm done.
Thank you for the openings, both of y'all. Let me.
There I am.
Boom. All right. So we're getting ready to move into the open discussion. There's a few super chats, so we'll get started with this operates a little bit differently, as I said, but they add a little bit of time, so you'll have a link to the open discussion portion here. I I did start with 50 pieces of clothing. We're at 26 likes right now, so I've already removed 26 pieces of clothing. I still have 24 more pieces of clothing on. So the people in my stream, make sure to slam that like button at 50 pieces. I'm going to be totally naked here. So this is going to be a fun evening. Now, with that being said and covered, I'm looking forward to seeing this open discussion. Let's keep the jabs above the belt, right? No low blows. It's kind of heated sometimes. Let's try to keep it level-headed. Mega Bloodbath engaged. You've got an hour and 15 minutes right now. And I guess we'll start with the questions, and then y'all can go into the open discussion. Evan Lord said, nothing shows American nationalism like being proud of your mixed heritages in both ethnicity and religion. Amerimits are an interesting contradiction. Would either of y'all like to comment on that?
It's fundamentally not true. In fact, the founding fathers would not have been fans of many of the people we see that are now in prominent positions of power in the United States, such as Mamdani looking to win his election, people of the Islamic faith. Primarily, they were concerned with this being a country that was for European descended people and people that were deist or Christians, as is evidenced by the fact the word democracy isn't even mentioned in the Constitution whatsoever. They thought that democracy was something to be fearful of. I see my opponent seems to furrow his brow. Please, I challenge you, show me anywhere in the Constitution where it mentions the word democracy.
It doesn't. It describes it. What? What is he talking about? Is he trying to be clever? The Constitution is describing what the Democratic Republic will look like. It's a democracy, you fucking idiot. What in the fuck is this argument?
No, yeah, you were just racist as fuck, right?
Huh? Wait, what? What just happened? What in the world just happened here? Yeah. I mean, I already plan to. I'm going to write a little bit about John 18:36 right now.
There, that's what that was.
I don't believe so. Do you think the founding fathers would have been happy with people of an Islamic faith winning national elections?
I think that yes, I think that they would be fine with it. That's why they specifically wrote a constitution that was secular in nature and didn't require any faith tests.
Can you show me ever them speaking favorably of wanting people of an Islamic faith? By the way,
I don't think I have to. I don't have to show that in order
Sure.
to just read the constitution. In that there's no faith tests.
Would you
that
agree?
are
How about
required.
this? Would you agree that one of the things we should do is accept what the framers of the Constitution wanted?
I think we should accept the constitution instead of wiping our asses with it, like you seem to be wanting to do
Okay,
right
so
here.
given that they thought that there was a tyranny of democracy, then the majority of your opening statement that talked about the real problem with Christian nationalism is that it is negative to democracy.
No, I'm sorry. What the fuck? They said direct democracy. It's in the Federalist Papers. It says direct democracy. Madison, when he wrote the Constitution, at least he was smart enough to know that a republic, specifically a constitutional republic, is still considered a fucking democracy, you fucking moron. What the fuck is happening right now?
They would dispense with that, correct?
It is. I mean, we're a
They dispensed with direct democracy in some fashion.
democratic republic, so
But they did not want democracy.
we're a
It's literally a form of democracy.
we're a democratic republic. That's
Define what the
Constitution
founding, define what the define what the Constitution said. What a democratic republic was. Go ahead.
It's in the Federalist Papers. No need to answer this. Just simply say a constitutional republic is a form of democracy, man. You're talking about direct democracy, which the founders didn't like, and rightfully so. They wanted a blend of federalism and statism.
I mean, I know what a democratic republic is.
Tell me what the founding fathers said. Tell me.
What a shit answer.
No. Well, you're wording this in a very, very curious way
Man, I hate the way people debate.
here, like what the founding fathers said and what what.
I mean, they did. They wrote in the Federalist Papers about why they wanted a constitutional republic. This is not hard.
What a democratic republic can be two different things.
Okay, so
No. They wanted a form of democracy. They wanted a constitutional republic.
then we should be concerned with what the founding fathers said and not what your definition of a democratic republic.
Okay, so Rob, now would be the time to please explain to us which Federalist Papers James Madison describes as concept. Go.
Republic is correct.
No, I think that we should work off of what a democratic republic is and what the Constitution actually is.
Why? If your interpretation of a democratic republic is different when the founding fathers entailed, why should we prefer your definition?
Okay, then give the definition, Rob. Seems to me that he doesn't even fucking know. Yeah,
I mean, my definition is going to match how the Constitution is set up.
Okay.
that's literally.
And I care about what's written in the Constitution. Why don't you care about what's written in the
I
Constitution?
do, and the word
No,
democracy.
you don't.
Of
You
course
seem to
I do.
not.
That's
No, because you talked about how this nation was built for white people, white Europeans, and you're being racist and xenophobic as fuck about Zoran Mandami, who's gonna win in New York. I don't give a fuck whether or not George Washington would have thrown up at his
George Washington would not have thrown up. What is happening right now?
fucking whatever mansion he had over there in
George Washington's a pretty complex, interesting figure. I
Virginia, wherever the fuck he lived. I don't give a shit if he would vomit every single day because Zoran Mandami
He also had no part in designing the Constitution.
is mayor of New York. I really don't care. What I care about is the fact that there are no religious tests for any for any elected official in America. That's how the Constitution's set up. That's how our democratic republic is set up.
so. What I said was what the founding fathers would think of people from the Islamic
And
religion.
I don't give a fuck.
Please,
And I don't give a fuck. That does not matter.
okay.
That does not matter.
I
to the
understood.
discussion.
I understood that was your point. And what I said was, if we're accepting what the founding fathers thought, that were the framers of the Constitution, they wouldn't be happy people like that. That doesn't make any claims.
I
as
mean,
to,
that doesn't.
please,
No,
let me
that
finish.
doesn't matter.
Please, that doesn't make any claims of what I
No,
think
that's
about
not how these
people's.
bloodbaths
That
work,
doesn't.
okay, bud?
That doesn't
Listen,
make any. It
your
doesn't.
entire point is moot for this entire conversation, okay? Because that does not matter as far as how the Constitution is written and what is allowed via the Constitution. Now, my question is, why don't you care about what's written in the Constitution?
I'll finish my point. So the point I was making is, it's not what.
That's my opinion. Again, I had this conversation with Confluence the other day. I kind of let it die. I didn't really want to continue arguing with them about it, but in Exodus, and Confluence did the route that is essentially this is not an old, like a new idea. He read it and then he immediately did what Christians had to do when they renegotiated this. They took the word to not mean miscarriage, and that the pregnancy becomes premature birth in Exodus 21. That is not the case. If you know your usage of the words here, and you know the history of Hammurabi Code, and you know the history of where Exodus gets its law from, which is from the Hammurabi Code and a bunch of other East Asian cultures, this law is copy pasted from those societies, and it means killed. So I didn't really want to keep arguing with him though, but I personally think that the Bible doesn't really have a position on it. I just don't think there's enough information. I mean, kind of. The founders didn't agree on this. Many of the founders wanted, Christian nationalism. Thankfully, though, they were not the majority. So people like my friend Wyatt, who he's a very intelligent guy, he'll go find founders who did advocate for it, right? And in a way, he's not wrong. But it does, I think, present a poor argument to say that it was founded on Christian nationalism. No, they didn't, yeah. They did know what miscarriage was, though. And ultimately, miscarriage is the same thing.
I'm saying what I think racially about people. It's what the founding fathers would say, right? And that's what I said. The conversation was about there's nothing more American nationalist than being of a mixed race.
The founding fathers did not write any race into the Constitution or even in the Federalist Papers. Maybe they would have, but they wrote this document with black people and women and whatever you want to say so far out of their mind that it became radically inclusive in a way. So I don't know why he's just saying this, but no, the Constitution is not written to be like black people suck.
in mixed culture. The reason that I wouldn't want someone like Mandami being elected is because I don't particularly want people.
Yeah. Yeah. But no. Abortion. Sorry, I was reading your comment. Abortions are considered spontaneous miscarriages. Medically. It's just a procedure.
People of the Islamic faith.
But there's no discernible difference between them.
When we see a tradition around the world of what happens when we have political Islam and what happens with it. Do you favor political Islam as a secular?
It's a weird argument. Okay. A secularist doesn't advocate for political Islam. I think the society that's closer to political Islam would be the political Christianity. History would say that. Secularism kind of wants neither of them to be politically Christian or Islam. This is a weird argument.
I don't think that Zohran Mandami practices.
Why the fuck didn't he just answer the question? What is this dude doing? Why are you debating? You suck. What am I watching? Does he think that what he said is clever, dude? Like, slow it down if you're going to say stupid ass shit like that. You could just engage with what he said, because what he said is actually stupid as fuck.
The extremist Islam that you're trying to reference as political Islam. But still, none of this actually matters, because whether or not somebody practices Islam, Buddhism.
Yes, secularism absolutely does that. It's part of secularism, 100%. That's not even a contentious belief, man. Again, secularism started. The origin is from a Danbury Baptist who wrote to Thomas Jefferson and was like, I'm worried that I'm going to be pushed out of my community. And the origin of secularism in the United States comes from a Protestant Christian.
Or Dudism, it doesn't matter as far as being elected, being an elected official.
To the question of a democratic republic, what the founding fathers entailed, I don't know if you knew this, when it came to democratically electing our politicians,
written in the Constitution?
Please, when it came to democratically electing the people in our federal
What's
government,
written in the Constitution?
Yes, okay. Who was democratically elected? Tell me what was written in the Constitution. Go for it.
You're not going to find the answer here. The Constitution is short, and it describes what the democratic republic, the constitutional republic, will look like. I don't know what he's trying to ask here, but because of a lot of misinformation, misleading thought provokers or thought leaders within the Christian community that have renegotiated the idea to mean something atheistic, the perpetual victimhood of feeling like atheism is growing too fast, even though it's not. It's not really growing that fast. Most people are not atheists. I know what he's saying is just dumb though, because you probably want to go to the Federalist Papers to understand what the Constitution is actually saying. The Constitution it's like directions, from how to get to A to B. But it's not going to describe the route for you, Right? The Federalist Papers are going to describe why the directions are this. That's where you can go like, oh, well, the Federalist Papers tell us to take this road because it's more scenic and pretty. I don't know.
Okay, a democratic republic, I'll just read the definition.
No, that wasn't my question.
It
That wasn't my
combines the
question.
principles of both a republic and a democracy, operating through a system where elected representatives make decisions on behalf of the people. So we elect representatives who then make decisions on behalf of a greater people. Now, I'm not under the disillusionment that America has ever been a pure democracy, which I'm guessing is what the founders were actually opposed to. So I don't think that we should be a pure democracy. But I think that a democratic republic is what we have, how our Constitution is set up, and that's how we should probably operate.
You read a generic definition of the term democratic.
I feel like that definition was okay. I don't know. It seemed okay to me. But Rob, if you really want to punt this home, okay, buddy, get that touchdown, get the home run. You're gonna have to come now forward with the definition from the founding fathers that is laid out in the Federalist Papers. I hope you know that, right? It's in a few, by the way. It's in a few. Federalist number 10, if I'm not mistaken, will be the number one. 39, 51, and 84. Yeah. So Federalist 10, like I thought. 39 is going to be the Federalist versus statism. So federalization versus statism. And then 51 is going to expound on that a little bit more as well. Hopefully he does that. I don't know.
Republic. I asked you specifically what representatives were elected through a democratic means under
He's got to give the definition given in Federalist 39 to really make me feel like he knows a single fucking thing about this topic.
the Constitution by the framers.
But well, so you're contextualizing it to the framers. Like just because all white
original
people were voted
Constitution.
in at the you're being racist as fuck.
Only a few that we can't say for sure. I mean, Jefferson is considered to be a deist because of his personal writings and then the Jefferson Bible. But it's a fact that the majority of secularists are Christian, and they always have been, and they still are today.
Yet fucking again.
I mean,
Is
you're
that
the
how you live
person.
your life? Do you just walk outside and you're just racist to every person of color on the road? Is that how you live your life?
Go so personal with it, please? We're having a debate.
I mean, he's
here
being
discussing
racist.
ideas.
Like, this is entirely racist. Him focusing on the points that he's focusing on instead of actually backing up his own argument here about how Christianity can actually benefit America. He's instead pivoting to his white Christian nationalist
Both of these dudes suck. That's all I'm gonna. It's just this is just trash, son.
sort of base, and he is trying to
Say.
establish that America is only for white people, which is racist as fuck. I'm just labeling it. I'm just asking clarifying questions. Like, are you pro-slavery?
No, I'm not pro-slavery, and what I'll say is you're not just asking clarifying questions. You're definitively saying I'm racist. The specific point that I'm
No,
making here
because
that
you
you're
are being
the
racist.
specific point that I'm making here that you're incapable of answering because you don't know is
No,
it was
I'm not
only
incapable. I've answered it.
please. I mean, you haven't answered anything, right? You
No,
just
yes, I have.
okay.
I've said that your point is pointless. It does not
I
matter to
just
this
the point
conversation.
that I was making is that the founding fathers and the way the Constitution is written, the only democracy involved, which is a word that was
Just because I can't remember off the top of my head, okay, guys? Here's what we're gonna do. Is the word democracy used in the Federalist Papers? All right. You see. Because, like I know, like it said there, Federalist 10 mentions pure democracy. And in contrast to republic, which is a type of democracy, right? So, yes, the word democracy does appear multiple times, but Madison explicitly discusses pure democracy and then contrasts a democracy with a republic. Yep. And a republic is what form of government? Of course. A lot of their beliefs, a lot of Christians, it wasn't the dominant opinion though. Keep that in mind, Cyber. But a lot of Christians over time renegotiated the Bible in a way that they found a lot of the stuff that was around them was just antithetical to what the Bible said. So a lot of Christians felt that slavery was not something that the Bible would condone, right? And that's they use passages to assert that. So no, they didn't. I don't know why you think the founding fathers despised just democracy, but they despise pure democracy. Okay. That's why it's so obviously given in all of these different things. A republic is a form of democracy. If they hated democracy, they wouldn't have loved Greco-Roman period forms of government. Don't you think that's how it would be? I don't really know what you mean by that. This to me just seems like you're repeating some PragerU garbage. Because if you'd like, we can go read the Federalist Papers right now. Get me at the well. I mean, a republic is a form of government in which representatives are elected in what way? Well, most of the Enlightenment found, like, the people who wrote, like James Madison and them, they were extremely educated on Greco-Roman period forms of government. There was like a renaissance in the Enlightenment era concerning philosophy from Greco-Roman period, the classics, right? And that permeated into government. And pure democracy has a problem at points of extreme size and scope, and they recognize that. So they realize that republics can kind of somewhat fix this issue a little. But it was like a learning process. But I'd love to hear an answer, Mr. Timmy at the well. A republic is a form of government in which a representative is elected in what way? How are they elected? Do we know the word?
Wasn't used in the Constitution was we got to elect members of the House of Representatives. We did not get to elect members of the Senate. We did not get to vote for the president. Somehow you're saying that that is racist. The way the Constitution is written,
So, democratically. Representatives are elected by what means again? Are they democratically elected? Yes or no? Because it differs from pure democracy. You're correct. That's why the founders, in the Federalist Papers, I mean, I can go further if you'd like. We can go to Federalist 39. We can go to Federalist, again, it's 51, and then Federalist 89 or 79. But there's a reason he contrasts pure democracy. And they all say pure democracy. It was still democratic. We have strict rules for who can vote in the United States right now. Does that make us not democratic? Illegal aliens who live in this country can't vote. Some people might call this strict. Is that going to immediately make us undemocratic? Yes or no? Quick answer. $33.12. No, it's not. It's just not a very democratic form of being a democratic republic, right? As in, the equality around voting isn't really there. But this is why, even though the United States has a long and brutal history with racism, we call the United States a liberal democracy from its founding. It is democratic, and we elect representatives through democratic means. It is a form of democracy. That is a constitutional republic. Okay? Trying to play a definition game on this is really stupid in my opinion, because it doesn't actually say anything. I'm not really sure why people like to do this. It's like a PragerU video, misleading thing. I don't know why. It's just stupid. There are benefits, by the way, to republics, and there are disadvantages, and there are also benefits to pure democracies, and there's disadvantages. You know that, right? 3312. You don't have to watch a PragerU video to know, or at least hear, where this argument comes from. The reason this became a very popular talking point, though, amongst conservatives, at least that I can tell, is it comes from earlier than PragerU, but PragerU has kind of reignited this issue with a video that was like 3 minutes, like I want to say 8 years ago, 5 to 8 years ago. And it's not like PragerU is the first person to say this, but it is nothing more than a talking point. I think it distracts from the actual conversation most of the time.
The only democracy involved, which is a word that wasn't used in the Constitution.
It's used in the Federalist Papers, though. Again, once again, Rob, the Constitution is 3 pages, dude. 3 or, sorry, depends on what book you have. It's short, okay? It's not going to tell you that it's a bike, okay? It's literally a manual for the bike, okay? It's not going to tell you it's a bike. No. John Adams' quote is not meaningless. John Adams, again, like many Enlightenment thinkers of the time, when they refer to democracy then, they demarcate, okay? Contextually, you have to think about this in reference. They demarcate pure democracy from republic. But if we had John Adams here today and you asked him, is a republic a form of democracy? He would tell you, obviously, it fucking is. Okay?
We got to elect members of the House.
I've actually have written pretty extensively on this, okay? And I did a debate on this as well, and I advocated, by the way, on behalf of the Electoral College, which uses the republic form of representation, right? And I think you probably should just read some Federalist Papers to understand what I'm talking about. Okay, just a John Adams quote is not going to tell you anything. You probably want to know what the framers were thinking of when they say pure democracy and democracy versus republic. But any one of them would tell you it's a form of democracy. That's stupid to think otherwise.
House of Representatives. We did not get to elect members of the Senate. We did not get to vote for the president.
So? It's a form of democracy, okay? So several primary types: direct democracy, representative democracy, specialized model, parliamentary. There you go. These are all models of democracy. So if you want to know the scholarly consensus on this, right? Constitutional democracy. These are all forms of democracy. A republic, representative democracy, is a democracy. I don't really know what you're trying to do right now, man. It's just distracting from the actual topic here. Okay? This is just a talking point. It's vapid. It means nothing. It's devoid of any meaning. Okay? And the reason, I just need to say this again, just think about it. You democratically elect your representative. That makes it a form of democracy. That's it.
Somehow you're saying that that is racist. That not only is that racist, but it proves I'm a racist by highlighting what our founding fathers thought when they talked about a democratic republic.
No,
Can you
that's a straw
explain to
man.
me why that's racist?
That's a straw
Both these people are stupid.
man.
That's not. You said that me making this point and asking you this question of which politicians were elected through democracy
So you
was
started
me
off by
being
saying,
racist.
and how
I
would the
want you to
founders
tell
have
me how
voted?
that's
And I
racist.
said-
Go ahead.
I clarified that just because they would have
Are we still on the conversation of, is Christian nationalism good? Fucking Christ.
voted in all white people does not mean that we should continue to vote in all white people. This is playing off of something that you said when we started the open discussion portion, and that's that, or maybe it was part of your opening statement, that this nation was set up for white Europeans. And so that's what I'm playing off of here. That's what led me in the direction that I went to for you contextualizing it with the founders. Now, I don't believe in operating on what the founders originally wrote in the Constitution, because we've amended it, and they also wrote the Constitution so that it could remain a living document, so that it can be changed, and so that it can change with our society. And
That is true. Thomas Jefferson explicitly says this.
and it has changed with our society. So I don't care how it was originally written. I do care about how it's operating now, and how our Constitution works now. So unless you have something to actually substantiate your claims that Christianity can somehow benefit America, this entire front-loaded section right here is just pointless to your overall argument.
Your filibustering is unimpressive. I sat here patiently and let you talk while you filibuster and interrupt me. What happened was, due to your efforts to interrupt and filibuster, you didn't understand the point I was trying to make,
What
which
do you
was
think
to
a
say
bloodbath
specifically.
is? I'm
Which
sorry,
was to say,
can I get tacos in here? Can you define mega bloodbath in the open discussion portion?
It's it's a back and forth. Ideally, y'all are having a good conversation. They do get a little bit heated, but do try to avoid the personal attacks, right? And cussing each other out, right? But we're trying to debate the topic at hand. Is Christian nationalism good for America? And ideally, each side is presenting points in favor or against, and you're having a good conversation, you know?
yeah, none of that said that the reason that you thought that I was being racist when I asked you the specific question of what the democracy portion was of Democratic Republic in the foundation of our Constitution was, and that we only directly voted for the House of Representatives, you shouting at me that that proves I'm racist because you continued to interrupt instead of actually listening to what I said, thus proving furthermore that your embracement of something such as secular humanism actually isn't rooted in rational discussion, but it's rooted in sort of an irrational ability to smear your opponent as something that they're not exhibiting that they are whatsoever, in this case racist. It's done by you in an attempt to discredit the arguments that I'll make throughout this debate because you think you can morally impugn me, which shows that you're actually operating in a more irrational system than what you would even claim Christianity is, because there's no logical basis to what you're saying whatsoever.
Christianity supported slavery and the founders supported slavery. Do you think that we should continue to have slavery now?
No.
Christianity endorses slavery. The Bible, at least. I don't really think it's safe to say Christianity supports slavery now. I'm sorry. What are we doing? What the fuck is this, dude? This is pathetic. Both sides. This guy's fucking retarded. He doesn't even know how to properly engage with the real problems in Christian nationalism. He's just kind of screaming things he doesn't like about it and misinformation, and it's just annoying. I'm not even gonna continue this. It's fucking wasting my time.
We have amendments upon
Literally, I'm not even gonna learn his opinions. I do know that apparently Rob Noor is not very prepared to debate this topic, so it might be kind of fun. To me, it seemed like Speakeasy the other day was pretty prepared, or last night. That I was kind of interested about. Yeah, it seems like he knows a lot about religious faith in general, so, and the Bible. That to me I thought was cool. Yeah, I mean, Christianity right now does not support slavery. I mean, again, Christianity, the Bible did endorse it, but if I'm going to say that all things in the Bible can be renegotiated, then I can't just behold people to something like that when I myself am trying to say that it's all fluid. Okay? As in it doesn't invalidate Christianity to say that it's not something that's justified, that is slavery, right? And then turn around and be like, yeah, but you support it, don't you? Because you're Christian. That's just fucking insane. You know what I mean? I mean, my problem, it's not like, I know that it can be hard in practice, right? Like when I sit here and I say that, I would do this, I would do that. There's obviously been moments where I'm not perfect and I don't live up to my own expectations, but I just wish people would stop trying to answer things so fast. That's all I want people to do. Just stop answering as fast as you can, because it doesn't make you look better. It's not going to help you with your argument, okay? You don't need to be the TikTok wit video guy, okay? Like that, very few people can do that. And, I can only do that in certain times I can, but other times when I know I can't, when I'm treading on the line of like the topic, I'm not trying to dominate as well, right? I'm trying to have a debate and I want to actually have a conversation. I'm not trying to do that, right? But trying to do that as your default fucking, flow, your default conversational dialogue is just stupid, bro. Well, my problem with that video just now was the atheist guy. I know a Christian nationalist will try and tell me, yeah, I'm debating Rob Noor on Thursday, and I was just doing some prep to see what his positions were. And my debate prompt is not that extreme. I think it's kind of different. It's in the United States, secularism. He is, if I'm not mistaken. In the United States, secularism is more beneficial to Christians and the Christian faith than Christian nationalism. That's my prompt. I'm the affirmative. And I didn't really hear any arguments from either of them to kind of argue why that might be true or not. I'm going to choose to probably start with the origin of secularism and the fact that most Christians are secular, but as in secularism doesn't mean atheist or anti-Christian. But nonetheless, I didn't really hear anything in that video that made sense to what the argument was or what the topic is. And I'm not an anti-theist. I'm not against religion or against Christianity. I actually, if you think about my prompt, okay, or at least what I'm on the affirmative for, my prompt is an appeal to Christians that I want Christians to flourish. I want Christians to be able to practice the faith they want to. So in a way, I'm arguing on behalf of every Christian that isn't going to be the authority whenever a Christian nationalist country becomes one. And that will be millions of people. Whether or not they can hear me when I make the argument, I don't know. Depends. Keep getting sidetracked because I wanted to write at the same time, but the origin of secularism is a lot earlier than that. But I'll read it actually right now. Why don't we do that? Do you know where the origin of secularism comes from? Timmy Athawal? I already asked people in my chat, but is this a book? Ooh, it is a book. Ooh, I'm about to do my favorite thing. Wahaha. No, it comes from a Christian. The idea of secularism is a letter from a Dansbury Baptist who wrote Thomas Jefferson that he felt he was going to be pushed out of his community for fear of his religion. It comes from a Christian, the idea of secularism, in the United States, at least. Come on. Where's his book? F. Oh, I did it backwards. Oh my god, really? Lame. We'll do this way. Here we go. File. That's the image block. Can you actually download from that site? I kind of want to download the whole book. Looks like it's in the public domain. Fuck. What is this? Sermons? You can download? Okay, cool. Download options. There we go. Yeah. Full text. One file. Boom. Boom. Give me that shit. Or not. Fine. Other formats. PDF. Boom. Boom. Let's go. Oops, spelled that wrong. Yeah, I spelled that wrong. Okay. I'm gonna read this while we go back to whatever garbage. Is there any stupid news today that I should know about? Anything? Why did I think that would work? I feel like that question doesn't make sense, Cyber. Are you asking me or asking him? I'm confused. Do we have anything new on Iran? Pretty close now, right? Big winter storm. Don't care. Sorry, guys. Don't care. Meh. Same way they kind of read in what they want out about everything else. I mean,
People got
no. Again, every Christian is gonna have to pick and choose things that they care about, right? I guess this is one of them for some people.
That's not the prompt, though. Unfortunately,
But I'm giving an example. Thank you, Sebastian.
I don't think that's a valid question. That's not what we're talking about.
It's exactly what we're talking
No, it's not.
Maybe you're misunderstanding my point then. I'm making the argument that capitalism is the most perfect system we have out of any other market.
This is not.
No one should be a billionaire in a moral society. Can they agree a step forward?
I would not agree to this. Just because this prompt is dumb.
I just personally believe that no one makes $1 billion from their own work. You have to make $1 billion.
No one makes $100 from their own work. No one makes $1 from their own work. Because you don't make $1. So, great argument.
Through exploitation. It's a
Okay. The money you make right now is definitionally made through exploitation. Does that mean you shouldn't have a dollar? This is using Marx's definition.
Loaded word for a lot of people.
Marx's definition is not a loaded word. It is a description of the surplus value. Extortion rate or the exploitation rate. It's strictly mathematical, and you can apply equality to it if you'd like, but
personally believe that's just the siphoning of the
I don't really have a good answer for that, Cyber. I think if we were talking to someone who felt otherwise, they would say, I disagree, and tell you scripture that try and cite scripture against you. I honestly feel like that's what will happen.
value someone creates through their labor to a single or
Well, there doesn't have to be some plan, Xrox. See, the problem with trying to legislate, okay, on behalf of interpretations and renegotiations is that the permission structure is evident of itself that there will be some sort of legal culling of Christians because their interpretations are different. Because humans can't perfectly capture anything information-wise, then logically we can deduce that we'll never actually have the perfect answer to legislate on through Christian nationalism. And that means that Christians are going to suffer from it. I mean, it's just, to me, it's logically a fact. I think all of those premises are true. Sound and valid. So it's kind of like the slippery slope fallacy in action, right? If you create a permission structure in which you are going to demonize some people who are Christian, then inevitably, based on just interpretation, then you're inevitably going to continue doing it. There's no way not to.
a small group of individual capitalists, ultimately.
Yeah, so I support because I agree with what you're saying, but also I think society's morals are a little mixed up right now. So that's one. But then for two, I do think there are some billionaires doing great things. Like I think of like Melinda French Gates, Mackenzie Scott off the top of my head, and they are like trying to distribute their wealth to help other people. I think the issue I have with billionaire or some people that are soon to be trillionaire status is that they were ever able to achieve that while there are people that are like living on the street and don't have access to healthcare and all these things. And those are where my morals is making sure everyone has their basic needs met.
A big thing for me is that no matter the incentives, no matter what is done in terms of a free market society, you're never going to get every single billionaire to agree to give up large, vast amounts of.
Wrong. They will have to if you force them to redistribute their wealth. Wrong. Or we can just Bastille Day them. You said agree. It's not like we can agree to have them chop their own head off, but if we raise taxation to an effective level that is by cyber, to an effective level that, makes sense and is properly done through by closing loopholes and all the other things, right? What are they going to do? Say no? They don't make the laws.
Their wealth to help the rest of the world.
Can they disagree a step?
Well, if they redistributed their wealth, by the way, funny thing about this, okay, growth would probably increase faster than a billionaire holding on to the amount of money they have. The more wealth that is generated and circulating throughout the economy into the hands of more people, the faster the economy will grow. Thereby, the billionaire would probably be more wealthy. I don't know if I can make the claim that they wouldn't be able to have the same purchasing power, though. It would feel like they're less wealthy some way, but as of right now, it almost seems like they have no idea what to do with their money. It's kind of Like when you get the amount of wealth that Elon Musk has, it's hard to spend that money. It's hard to even find places to invest all that money.
My opinion on billionaires, I don't care that they're billionaires. For me, as a person that's come from an immigrant family, I see them as motivation. My parents did the best they can. I want to do better. I don't care for corporations in general. I'm a populist. I care more about the people. The people also benefit
Shouldn't you care about the corporations then? What?
from these billionaires because billionaires
What?
create jobs. As net worth rises, in some cases, the salary of the people rise as well.
No, in every case. This is with wage increases and labor, but it's not just. I mean, I guess this is. I think what we need to say here is what we're more concerned about is the rate at which the wealthiest individuals are continually capturing more of the share versus people who are not in the top 10% and the 90% are continually getting less and less of the share. That is a concern. What he said is not wrong, but it's not really relevant to what we're talking about and the fact that wealth inequality is a problem because it's getting worse. That's really what this prompt is talking about, wealth inequality. And right now, wages are being outpaced by inflation every other year. And the type of jobs we're getting right now or at least being created are fucking trash. And that means a stagnation within, weekly take-home pay, median weekly take-home pay for full-time workers is just stagnated right now.
If Elon Musk,
I mean, it recovered from COVID, but it's essentially stagnated.
implicitly mentioned Elon Musk as perhaps the world's first trillionaire. If he does become the world's first trillionaire, it's not because he stole it, it's because thousands of shareholders all mutually agreed and voted that should the company reach.
No one said he stole it. Okay. I don't know why we're assuming that. Shabos. But the question here is like, if let's just hypothetically say there's 3 people in an economy, okay? Everyone has 33%. Now, what if we changed it the next year? So every new year, we can just set like a series here, right? And just set like the integer to be a certain percentage variant, like increase or decrease between this zero-sum game. So let's say one of the individuals, we'll call him Musk, and then the 2 other individuals are in this game. Let's say Musk now has 50%, and the other 2 individuals have some play of that other 50. So now they're at 25, 25, 23, 27, 22, 28, it doesn't matter. But Musk has 50. If I ask everyone, do you think this is getting egregious? Some people might say no. I mean, they're just doing what they can. They're just operating on incentives. Shareholders are helping and people are investing in them. Now, if we just keep continuing this, let's say up until the point that Musk has 90% and the other 2 have some variation of that last 10. I don't think this guy would be still talking like this, right? He'd probably be like, I live in Saudi Arabia at some point. And there are people who would say, I mean, what's the problem? The sheik is operating within his legal rights. He's just, he nationalized the oil industry. He gets to keep the wealth.
9 times its current evaluation, he would be awarded stock options. Forget about Elon Musk benefits, the shareholder benefits, environmentalists like myself who try to only buy electric vehicles, we will be able to benefit because the cost of a Tesla will go down. So it really depends on your definition of
It did at one point.
morality, but honestly, as someone who believes in Judeo-Christian values and believes in the Hebrew Bible, I can't think of anything more immoral than to take someone else's money for.
Okay. I love this argument. Who gave you the money, Shabos? Did you make the money? All this wealth, okay, in this country. Are we just supposed to believe that Mr. Shabos is the only reason that he's a billionaire? Or Musk in this case, but What if you were born in Cambodia? Why are there no fucking billionaires in Cambodia, Shabos? At least in the ratio we're talking about with the United States. Wealthiest country on the planet. And it's incredible to me to think that these fucking idiots just think their money's being taken. No. You didn't create the dollar. There's decades of financial growth and wealth redistribution and wealth creation before you. You were allowed to participate against your own will. Unfortunately, that's just a social contract in action in this economy and the wealth. You're fine. And it's weird to me that you can just sit there and go, it's mine now. Like, what are you talking about, bro? You didn't create the dollar. You didn't do anything. Okay. Elon Musk was born in fucking South Africa. What did he do to literally mean that he can come here and then all of a sudden that's his wealth? Okay. He takes government loans. Tesla wasn't even profitable for the first 15 years. All he did was just take government money. That's your wealth that you contributed to if you lived here your whole life. And then somehow I have to listen to this guy turn around and be like, I can't think of anything more immoral than stealing someone's money. Like, fucking shut up, bro. What are you talking about?
For the sake of, well, everyone deserves it.
Like,
true, everyone should be able to have a decent wage and have a...
Okay, and that implies that taxation is necessary. That's just the most optimal way to make sure that you can have a decent wage.
Home and have a living wage. But you don't solve that by taking other people's money.
Yes. You're correct in a way. Okay, governments spend money first and then they recoup via taxation. But taxation has a fundamental goal. It is about wealth redistribution. Okay? It's not taking other people's money. The government spends and circulates it into people's hands. So the government gives people money and then everyone gets to participate in this wealth expansion. It's not technically yours, okay? I'm sorry, bro. Like, if you want to go live in Somalia where there's no fucking taxation, have fucking fun, bro.
And if you want to play this...
Go fuck yourself, dude. Go somewhere else.
Billionaires, well, what about millionaires? And
millionaires are fine. Millionaires generally... Thanks, Let's You. Millionaires generally already pay extremely high taxes because they're paid on salary. Okay? This is not an issue. I think we could probably lower the taxation on millionaires. I'm going to be honest with you. Some of them pay like, even after accountants to help them try and solve this shit, they pay like 40%.
Just like the Laffer curve suggests, if you...
Oh, great. The Laffer curve. Got it. Oh my God. Neoliberal economists coming in hot, dude. Look at me.
are going to take away people's wealth after they reach a certain number, then I can guarantee you our economy will...
That's not how taxation works. We don't just take away someone's wealth when they hit a threshold. We take away a part of someone's wealth. There's never been a time where someone like makes a fucking magical number and then we just go, boom, mine now. Like, what are we talking about?
Productive as it currently is.
Yeah.
Like, practically, okay, the Laffer curve is impossible, okay?
I was gonna say, I think it's an extremist view when people start talking about taking away people's wealth. I mean, I think that's like the buzzwords that scares people when people are
Okay, like the Laffer curve doesn't understand that taxes have different curves. Just
saying simply they want people's basic needs met. Obviously, given where society is, we can't take away Elon Musk's like $400 billion.
Fuck that. Yes, we can. Fuck that guy, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. Apparently I found out that he's not equipped to do this debate. Because I just watched him debate a psychopath, fucking weirdo, who brought a PowerPoint to a debate on the topic, and I guess he's not really familiar with it that much. So we'll see. It'll be fun.
But I'm just saying my point of view, my moral compass is everyone's basic needs met. And then when I see certain billionaires, not just him, several of them that could...
Okay, so economies shouldn't be run on that. Economies, I think, should be run on what is most optimal and produces good outcomes. Okay, we need to be pragmatic when we look at how to distribute finite resources. Okay, so if healthcare is more optimally done through the government than it is through private enterprise, as in it spends less money and produces better outcomes, then the moral decision there is just probably the one that does better outcomes regardless, but there should be no ideological underpinning that dogmatically tells you private or state. You just need to look at what happens in reality, okay?
Be doing more and choosing not to. I think that's just a reflection of their moral compass.
I'm not the kind of person to say we shouldn't have billionaires. I think there's the extremity view that we should just get rid of everybody's assets, and that's not the case.
Jesus Christ. Okay. That is an extreme view. Even Bernie Sanders' wealth tax doesn't say this. Look, why don't we just try and do some math really fast? This is the reason this prompt is dumb, okay? Let's say that the ratio, okay, between do some fun little stuff. Make this a little bigger for everyone. The ratio between nominal wages, okay, inflation, and 1 percentile wealth. And then we'll put something like this. With the existence, okay, of billionaires still existing. Sorry, being true is what I mean to say. Is identical to the same 1950s, or to the same to the years of the 1950s, okay? What I mean by that is that the wage growth, the inflationary responses and actions we had and outcomes, and then the amount of wealth that was existent in the country are identical to what was in the 1950s. Billionaires exist. Do we think billionaires should not exist in that society then? And what I mean by that is, if we take every single metric and we put them in the same ratio, and that means probably just increasing the numbers. Like, I can technically make this Bible, okay? This Bible could technically be $1 trillion, and that wouldn't be a problem if and only if the relationship between every other economic metric determined that to be a problem. The number on its own, though, is fucking meaningless. I could say it's worth 1 quadrillion, bajillion, trillion, fillion, it doesn't fucking matter. It's really not convenient to do the math on that, but the point is that the prompt is trying to make like an ideological claim about billionaires not existing in general, when the truth is that doesn't matter. What matters is, what can the participants in the economy actually do? What is the ratios of all of the economic data sets telling us? In our economy right now, the purchasing power of your average middle class individual, as well as their wealth expansion rate, like what their expectation of it, is fucked. Okay? That's it. It's just fucked. So billionaires in the society we live in are essentially out of tune with the rest of the economic indicators we have. That doesn't mean billionaires can't exist. At some point when the economy continues to grow and grow, we might be saying that billionaires is not enough money because it's a fictitious number on its own. That's the problem with this prompt. It doesn't actually tell us anything about the economic condition or what needs to change. Okay, it's just kind of being mad that people do have money, which is true. There's a lot of wealth inequality, but it's just a dumb prompt.
Like, you should be able to own your phone or a teddy bear or something like that. I think, but to say that Elon Musk got his wealth from free markets, I think is a little bit disingenuous. We have to acknowledge the fact that there is rent seeking by corporations just as much.
That could be considered free market in some neoliberals' eyes.
There's the state. And so to say that it's a free market and that's the reason why he did so great, there's so many other things that go into whether he did great, how great he did. And I think we do have to kind of take
See, the neoliberal take here would say that, well, rent-seeking or not, the private company performed better than the government would have. And this guy's argument's gone because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
those things.
What I had wanted to say, because I resonate with what you're saying.
Plus, government contracts and grants can be it can definitely fall into rent-seeking, but Tesla did not get rent-seeking like that at first. Tesla honestly was a good company that produced the best electric car battery and the best electric car on the planet. Even if it did make a profit, that's a good outcome.
A lot.
The problem is that Elon Musk decided to continue taking ketamine every night and entering the third dimension instead of just fucking continuing to make a better car because he sucks ass. Okay, that's the fucking
You
problem.
have to be a monster not to want everyone to have their basic needs met. So the issue then becomes how we get there. So when we say both of us
Mechanisms.
say we want everyone's basic needs met, I would ask you, well, how is that going to be done if it's not taking from other people? And that's the sticking point. The fact is, before government started really interfering in medicine, I remember when I bought my own health plan.
I'm literally showing the social welfare function right now. Okay, that's what I'm showing right here, just for fun. All right, come on, you fucking camera, you suck. No. All right, can't show it. This sucks. Anyways, social welfare function. Kenneth Arrow. What the fuck is this woman talking about? Is she about to fucking say the government's interactions with healthcare have produced nothing but worse outcomes, and that's why we have bad private healthcare is because of government?
And when I was a teenager, I know that probably seems like, the Flintstones, right?
When you were a teenager, the healthcare plan was tied to the pension, probably, of whatever your father was, you stupid idiot. What?
Now, but I was able to buy that on my own. And now you go through the marketplace.
What's this girl's name? Her name? Karen. Okay. Right,
Or
Karen.
governments.
Karen on Jubilee. I gotta know. I gotta know. Does she have a
We want everyone.
social? Why am I have to? I'm literally about to go see some more information about this woman. I bet Pink Flame of Liberty. Okay, got it. She's a libertarian. Got it. Now, Carolyn Ann Harlos. Is chair of social media in the Libertarian Party of Colorado. Okay. Yeah. Something about the story doesn't make sense to me. All I'm gonna say. Does she have a website? What if I emailed her? What did your dad do when you were younger? Did he have a pension?
Started really interfering in medicine. I remember when I bought my own health plan.
I remember when Kenneth Arrow was, as a neoliberal economist, was writing his social welfare function and figuring out that the United States optimal amount of healthcare should be done through the government because of math and logic and economics. But fear not, I'm about to listen to Karen, the Pink Flame of Liberty, tell me how she bought her own healthcare plan at 16 somehow. Is she like the reincarnation of fucking Ayn Rand, bro? Who the fuck is this woman? She got pink hair too.
When I was a teenager, I know that probably seems like, the Flintstones right now, but I was able to buy that on my own. And now you go through the marketplace and it's just insane. I don't see how anyone affords
The marketplace is private.
that. And that's from
It's private.
government trying to help.
Trying to help you buy what on the what? Healthcare on the private marketplace.
What do you suppose Elon,
What the fuck?
Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg should do with their money?
I don't care. Naturally, people with that much wealth are going to try and invest it into things that are going to be fruitful for them. We should care more about government policy that redistributes the wealth they have, not worry about what we want them to do. That's not how it works. If you make a government force someone to do what you want to do, you're doing it wrong. We just need to change the government policy so they just pay more taxation, not you need to invest this that way, or you need to give up this much money because of this. It's like change the tax policy so they have to give it legally. Okay, this is fucking stupid.
If you were able to run their money and run how wealth distributes, how would you?
You would do it the same way because you act on your own incentive. That's what individuals do. Individuals are good at acting on their own self-interest. That is a good thing in economics. I want to make money for my family. I want to make money for me. And it's really weird to think of an individual like, I want to make money for the government. I want to make money for other people. Not a good incentive for the individual. That's why we have government policy that redistributes the wealth in a fair and legal way.
Tax them, and how would we be affected, the middle and the lower class?
Because the redistribution of wealth would circulate back into the economy. The taxation gets spent somewhere.
Yeah, I would cap it at 900 million is the amount you can make, and I would distribute the rest, you know, to make sure everybody got their needs met. So yes, I guess.
Okay. I hate everyone in this.
To answer your question, if we're talking about today's society where we're at with all the billionaires, that's what I would do.
I would bring us back to 1950s tax rates in the United States.
Wait, he's about to say 90%, isn't he? Just so you guys know, that's not true. The effective tax rate of the wealthiest individuals in the United States in the 1950s was about 42%. That was the effective tax rate. If he says 90% right now, I'm going to end this video.
91% tax rates on the highest tax margin. Now let's talk about let's explain what that means.
So
though,
you want a 91% slavery, people? Got
No.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't know about that terminology.
Hold on.
Not slavery.
Hold on.
And of course it's not, and I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm really not.
We're talking about a tax on people that are making more than $10 million per year on every dollar above $10 million. Wow. Let's say that. Up to that point.
Help. Help. I want to die. This is what it feels like to have no political... This is what it feels like to be an independent, where you just kind of have to sit there and be like, all of you are fucking stupid. Just everyone. All of you. It sounds super like cocky and like unaware, but it's not in this case. And I know that, and it just bothers me, man.
Does anybody really need to live on more than $10 million?
When is it your place to decide that?
Depends on the economy.
It should be everybody's.
Depends on the economy. It's not about whether or not you can live with the necessity, by the way. I can't do it. All of them are stupid. Moving on.
Our nation's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, with us this morning. And Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us. We had planned to have you on this program to discuss tariffs, but let me first begin with your reaction. Do you know if President Trump was in Washington at 1:30 a.m. last night?
Good morning, Maria, and good to be with you.
Where were you when the Fire Nation attacked?
I just spoke with President Trump. He spent the night in D.C. He was here for the National Governors Conference. Gave a great speech to the governors last night.
Wow, this assassin sucks. Couldn't even get the fucking time right, dude.
And Maria, I just want to say, why do we look back here and think two would-be assassins dead, one in jail for life, and this venom coming from the other side. Look at this terrible, profane.
Ooh. Man, I love this because this is exactly what the Nazis did. The Nazis, the moment they burned the synagogues in 1938, the night of burning the synagogues, one of the primary ones, not Kristallnacht, but the reason the Nazis decided to burn all the synagogues in 1938 on November 9th is because a Polish Jew shot a French diplomat, Nazi, or at least I think he's like a Nazi leader, when he was going to the French embassy on a diplomatic diplomatic reasons. A Polish Jew shot and killed him, and then our favorite propagandist in chief, Goebbels, went to the airwaves on the radio and said, "How long are we going to wait until the Jews murder us in the streets like what just happened? How long are we going to let the murderous Jews spread their rhetoric, spread their hate until all of the Germans are gone?" Lovely.
Senate commercial in Illinois. I would call for them to take that down. Take that down, because it is that kind of venom that we don't know whether this person was a mastermind, unhinged, or what.
Okay, well, clearly he wasn't a mastermind. He tried to kill Trump when Trump wasn't even there. Doesn't quite fit the description there, Bissent.
But they are normalizing this violence.
Oh, interesting. Projection.
It's got to stop. I want to congratulate Sean Curran and the Secret Service for protecting the president and his family.
And how is it possible that this individual could have gotten as close as he did to Mar-a-Lago last night?
Trump wasn't there. So there's less Secret Service.
Yeah, for anyone who
it's literally public property outside of the initial private property, girl.
who's driven along there, the perimeter is very very protected. So we'll see. I don't know whether did he come along the beach? Did he I
did he come along the beach?
I don't know, but I can tell you the Secret Service is running so much better now than it was in Butler. New leadership and President Trump and his family.
Like, my man, zoom out further, and this is a public road. It's like,
but they shouldn't have to endure attempt after attempt.
And Secretary, will there be any further changes in terms of the president's security, the security at Mar-a-Lago post this incident?
how did this man walk across the grass there? He got so close.
Yeah, Maria, I'm not going to discuss that on TV, but
okay.
I think the perimeter around the president is as strong as it's ever been. But again, this existential threat, this venom from the left, really has to stop. They've normalized this violence.
Yeah, Secretary, I want to get your take on the impact of the Supreme Court's decision. While much of the discussion over the Supreme Court's decision to rule against the president's emergency tariffs, so some of the tariffs, it's been focused on the impact on foreign allies and the president's power. But it's worth noting that this ruling will also have a profound impact on America's fiscal position. The Committee for a Responsible Budget, President Maya McGuinness told me that the Supreme Court ruling will cut government revenue by $1.9 trillion through fiscal 2036. It will increase debt by $2.4 trillion over the same period. Debt could now rise to 125% of GDP, with deficits rising to more than 7% of GDP. It's worth noting this SCOTUS impact on U.S. debt. Do you believe that the president's actions to come up with tariffs under a different authority will, in fact, replace all of the revenue lost from this ruling?
Yeah, so Maria, let's take a step back here. And Maya McGinnis should be ashamed, and they should take the word responsible out of her organization's name. Everything she told you was completely irresponsible. And look, where were they when the Biden administration blew out the deficit, that we had a fiscal contraction last year? So she should be ashamed. So let me tell you what's going to happen. First, this ruling was a very narrow ruling in terms of the president's ability to use IEPA to collect revenues. The Supreme Court said the president can put in a full embargo, but he cannot collect $1. So the president still has the most draconian measure for negotiations, and that under sections 232, sections 301, we're already collecting.
You know what Bissett needs? Bissett needs some fucking metal. Bissett needs fucking metal, dude. God, I suck. Why does it sound like this? What is it, babe? Why is there latency now? I don't get it. I hate everything. Alright, I'm gonna play some music and then end my stream, okay? I want to go get food. I might stream later. I keep saying I will, but I might. I'm gonna play some songs that are near and dear to my heart. Because fuck yeah. That's why. There we go. Okay. Sticking low and high. I can make a beat for that. Enter straw man. Dude, one of my favorite things to do in music, I remember Horse said he liked Metallica, right? Is ruining people's love for Metallica, dude. Because you just like go to any Metallica song, right? You're like, all right, you really like Metallica? Okay. I mean, I actually like when the drums actually do something. Why don't we just go to any Metallica song? I literally just have them pick a song at random. Okay? Any song, just listen to what the drums are doing. Everywhere. Okay, he's doing a four on the floor. Got it. Okay, let's just go somewhere else. It's a little faster, I guess, but It's just every song, bro. That you can't escape it. Okay, you can't escape the do. Yeah, I mean, he's literally. It doesn't matter what song you choose, bro. That's all I'm saying. Every song, okay, it's the same. This. Okay, yeah. Okay, what about another album? Let's right. Oh, we got some eighth notes. Every song, bro. Like, come on, bro. And then nowadays, you know, we have shit like this, right? Like who? I don't even know how to play that anymore. It's in standard tuning, so I'm probably gonna have to change that, aren't I? I'm threatening, bro. All right. We're gonna do. Where's we'll do a few songs. Where the hell is it? Synthetic. There it is. What the? Where'd you go? Synthetic. There you are. Synthetic Soul. Oh yeah, it's super sunny. It's fucking sick. It's fucking sick, bro. I live in California, man. What do we know? Doing Stones. fucking love this tone. It's so fucking heavy.
I'm on a mission from God.
And now we have danger. You can hear, understand the lyrics. Anger. This is how I deal with all my anger, okay? After watching socialist videos. You go watch it happen with Flame.